In terms of advice that you'd share with another investor, who is going to go through that source of funds process, what are a couple of the main suggestions, tips that you would have, for someone who's about to start that process?
Okay. The first recommendation or suggestion for them is to go with a very seasoned law firm, right? A law firm which has tons of experience to back them up. A law firm which will stand by the petitioner throughout their journey, have a very good communication with them, set clear expectations, and then once the law firm is chosen, then they should ensure that all their source of fund documentation is very clean and they have appropriate evidences for each and every source of fund information. Along with that, the petitioner should also understand that it's not just the investment on the regional center. They also need to ensure that there's going to be substantial investment towards the actual petition, USCIS filing fees, the attorney fees, and any other consulting fees that they would need to shell out on this journey. And one more important thing is, along the way, there could be some RFEs if there was any doubt from USCIS on the source of fund. So the petitioner should negotiate with the attorney beforehand that any responses to the RFE is also included in the overall fees. The very first red flag is understanding if the project is I-956F approved or not. Some of the projects the consultant shared were in the process of getting the approval, but they were not approved. So as an investor, they need to understand that the basis of the 526E petition getting approved is only when the project in which they're investing has a 956F approval. If it does not have the approval, the petition just stays in the pending stage till that approval is achieved, which could add months of time into the entire approval workflow. So that was the first criteria. The second criteria is understanding the ratio of funds, right? How much the developer was bringing in through various means, and how much the project is relying on the EB5 funding itself. Any project that relies more than, I would say, 25 or 30% on the EB5 funding, that would be a red flag for me. The third is the transparency in communication between the regional center and the level of documentation they possess or with respect to the project. Fourth is the stage where the project is. As the project being initiated, is it an ongoing project, or there's been no groundwork done yet on the project? Is it going to be a paper project rather than an actual project? So these are some of the evaluations that I did before, and the term of the project itself. The important consideration for me, at least, was whether I was going in for a loan-based project or an equity-based project. Right from the beginning, I was clear that I was more interested on a loan-based project than on an equity-based project. So these are some of the criteria that I initially looked into while choosing the right RC for me.
Okay, and in terms of the RC, even before we kind of get down to the project level, I'm sure you had discussions with a number of different regional centers. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of what those interactions were like, and what were some of the differences between EB5AN and some of the other regional centers that you were in conversations with as you were looking for potential projects?
Yeah, so if you look at all RCs, right, the key criteria for them is their sales pitch, right? What is attractive from a project perspective, and what information is being shared to the investor to convince them. If the if the information shared is not substantiated with the project document itself, then those kind of RCs are a no-go for me, right? So giving a brief experience that I had with EB5AN, I approached EB5AN to start with, and I was contacted through a person called Jordan who works for EB5, and I had pretty decent conversation with Jordan. I think it was almost a 1 hour conversation where I had several questions on the project itself, and then Jordan was extremely patient enough to address all my queries, and he was quite transparent. Just for an example, I was asking him the loan term of the project in which I'm going to invest was 4+1+1. So I was asking him, can I exit at the 4 year time frame instead of going for the optional 1+1? So John was quite transparent. He said any builder would want to maximize the loan term to ensure that they have enough time to repay the investors. So he was quite transparent. He didn't uh, just tell me that, okay, it's just going to be 4 years. Yes, you have an option to exit at 4 years or anything as such. He was quite transparent, candid, and I really like that approach. And I didn't see the same level of transparencies with other actions that I engaged with. Right. The next important advice for the EB5 prospective applicants is to understand all the financial elements that are associated with such a filing. Right. They have to take into consideration their investment itself as the core component, followed by the legal fees, which is actually substantial when it comes to EB5 petition. They have to look at all the filing fees from USCIS, not just the initial filing fees, but 2 years later, when they convert from conditional green card to a permanent green card, there is going to be a substantial fees included at that time as well. Then they have to look at all the USCIS fees. They have to look at any RC fees or any financial consultant fees, because all these auxiliary fees themselves are going to be quite substantial from an investor point of view. So they have to take all this into consideration. Right. Now, when it comes to selection of the project, as I mentioned, if they could possibly, they should start with creating a checklist to do a side-by-side comparison of all these various projects, right? Understand what are the criteria that they really are focused on. Because EB5, as I mentioned before, has different visa pathways. They have reserved, they have unreserved category, under-reserved, they have targeted employment area, they have high unemployment area, they have infrastructure investments. So they have to look at what would best suit their needs, their requirements. And then when it comes to picking the RC, that's going to be the most trickiest part. They have to do all thorough due diligence to talk to multiple RCs, see which RC's project fit in all their requirements, right? In my case, EB5AN was great. They fit in all the requirements that I had put forth for myself in the beginning, and that at least enabled me to move faster and cleaner towards my EB5 journey.